Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
And all I have to say is thank goodness. Call me shocked, call me surprised, call me just completely just not expecting this, but I have to eat crow. I have to eat my words. I did not think after the way the Mets went down in the last 5 innings of game 1 today, where they lost the opener to the Brewers, that they had any chance of winning game 2 tonight. Everything was stacked against them. You got Mizorowski on the mound, the rookie that has just been amazing for the Brewers so far this year. The Mets just continuing this slump, but they come away with a split of the doubleheader, thanks in large part to Brandon Nimmo, who hits a grand slam to open the scoring in the second inning, and then Francisco Lindor immediately after him with the solo shot of his own, and then Lindor adding 2 more RBI knocks in this game, and it all tallies up to a 7-3 win for the Mets as they snap their 4-game losing streak, keep pace with the first place Phillies in the National League East. We don't gain any ground, so a little bit of a missed opportunity, but at the end of the day, the Mets don't change anywhere in terms of the standings, either in their own division or in the wild card, as they jump back ahead of Milwaukee by a half a game. They had fallen behind by a half a game after losing the first one earlier this afternoon. So good night for the Mets. I mean, it is what it is. It was an ugly first game, but a really nice bounce back win today, and led by 2 of the offensive leaders of this team in Nimmo and in Lindor. So guys, welcome to the stream. I'm Tony Metro. If you guys are new, be sure to subscribe. I do daily Mets content. We do a post-game recap after every single Mets game, and you can follow me on all my other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Links to all of those are in the description below. If you guys want to call in and be a part of this show live, you could do that. Go to the link for Discord in the description of this video, and when I'm ready to take calls, I will plug you in. But guys, a nice win for the Mets today. I did not expect it, like I said at the beginning of this stream. The way the Mets looked in game 1 was exactly how they had looked the entire series against the Pittsburgh Pirates this past weekend, and it did not inspire a lot of confidence. The Mets had just 2 hits in game 1. They didn't get another hit after Pete Alonso's RBI single in the 4th inning of that one. The ugly 6th inning where Reed Garrett just absolutely throws gasoline all over the fire once again. And with Mizorowski on the mound for the Brewers, I did not have high expectations for the Mets in this one. I did not believe the Mets would avoid getting swept in today's doubleheader, but they're able to pull it out. They're able to just basically keep their heads above water at this point, as again, they don't lose ground to Philly in the NL East standings, and they even jump back ahead of Milwaukee, who they had fallen behind in. So happy to see it. Brett Keller in the chat. What's up, man? Finally get back in the win column. Need to take the series tomorrow, and do you think Mendy will keep the lineup with Nimmo leading off and Lindor behind him? Yeah, so that is really interesting. So first time since I think it was last May that Francisco Lindor was moved out of the leadoff spot. And look at the night from not only him, but from Brandon Nimmo, who takes his spot atop of the order. Brandon Nimmo with that grand slam in the 2nd inning. He has 4 RBI, of course, on the night. And then Francisco Lindor with the solo homer, the very next batter. He also has 2 more RBI hits. So, Brett, they've already said, at least Steve Gelbs has reported, because he asked Mendy about it, that they are not planning to keep this lineup moving forward with Lindor out of the leadoff spot. So, I personally don't see how you can't keep rolling with it based on how those 2 guys performed today. I mean, you finally get back in the win column, like you said, Brett, and for them to change it up now just would feel like a mistake to me. Now, I love Lindor in the leadoff spot. Clearly, it's been working very well for most of the last calendar year since they moved him there in May of 2024. But things have not been going well for this lineup at all, and specifically for Francisco Lindor. Gary Cohen even said it during tonight's broadcast that this was the best swings that he has seen from Lindor in the last month. So not only has the lineup not been going, but Lindor has really been struggling. And who knows if this really changes anything, just the one spot in the order from 1 to 2 and putting Nimmo back in the leadoff spot, which we know he did for the majority of the first few years in the big leagues. But I personally would keep rolling with it. It sounds like that's not their plan, but maybe that changes after erupting for 7 runs tonight and getting back in the win column. That's how I personally would feel about it. I'm not superstitious, but I'm I'm actually very superstitious, so I wouldn't touch a thing about today's lineup. I would even just present the exact same physical lineup card for tomorrow's game. They definitely need to get that series W tomorrow. David Peterson on the mound taking on our old friend Jose Quintana. That would go a long way toward hopefully getting the Mets back on track as they then welcome in the very, very struggling and slumping Yankees into town for the Subway Series over the weekend. So love to get the Series W tomorrow from David Peterson. Explosive Diarrhea, what's up, man? Tidwell looked pretty good. Yeah, so let's get through this game real quick. Take a look at the box score and everything. So we know that the Mets opened this one with Huascar Brazoban. He gave us a scoreless first inning, which was good to see. Obviously, a very different situation from what Huascar Brazoban has been doing lately. Obviously, been doing a lot more high leverage situations, but just good, I think, for the mental aspect of Huascar Brazoban's game to be able to go out there and put a 0 up on the scoreboard, something that it doesn't seem like he has done for a very long time. But Blade Tidwell ends up coming in to be the bulk guy for the Mets beginning in the second inning, and it was a pretty solid performance from Tidwell. I mean, look, I don't think this guy has the most nasty stuff of all time, but what he did better today than he has in his first 2 major league appearances is throw strikes. He actually had some command of his fastball today, and he had some pretty good crisp movement and able to locate some of his breaking pitches as well. And that is what led to some good success here against the Brewers. Threw up zeros in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th inning. And then, of course, ran into a little bit of trouble there in the 6th. Christian Yelich and Jackson Churio going back-to-back off of him for solo shots. And then after an infield single that Ronnie Mauricio should have had in the shortstop hole, that would spell the end of his night. But overall, a pretty solid performance from Tidwell as he ends up going 4 1/3 innings pitched. He does end up getting charged with 3 earned runs, the 2 solo shots. And then when he departed the game, an inherited runner scores on, it was, who came in for him actually? Was it? No, not Stanek yet at that point. Sorry, let me double check, guys. It was a lot of baseball today. 18 innings of baseball in the first 9 innings had me pulling my hair out. But it was Deadnow Nunez who came in then to close out the rest of the 6th inning. He does give up a little infield single that scores the inherited runner for Tidwell. So final line again on him. 4 1/3 innings pitch. He gives up 5 hits, 3 earned runs on 2 walks. He also had 3 strikeouts. But honestly, solid performance from Tidwell in a spot that he's obviously not very used to being in. Not only coming out of the bullpen, but coming out of the bullpen essentially still needing him to act as a starter and give the Mets a bunch of innings in this one. And he does just that. He gets them to an out in the 6th inning there before Nunez takes over. So I think it was definitely a positive step for Blade Tidwell. I still don't believe that this guy is going to be an impactful starting rotation type of arm for this team in the future. I see him more as a reliever, but who knows? And let's just be happy, count our blessings for today. Let's go to the chat real quick. Sandman Games, LGM Mendoza's a genius. I don't know, man. I don't know after he pulled Clay Holmes in the first game with 90 pitches and 1 out in the 6th inning if I'd be calling him a genius, but glad to see that they are willing to make changes. We know they had the team player meeting a couple days ago in Pittsburgh. They didn't see the results of that. But today, Mendoza making the lineup change for game 2. So I am just happy that they are willing to make changes because obviously what they have been doing for the last 3 weeks has simply not been working. Sandman Games, Tony goes out to eat Mets, go up 5-0. That's right. So Sandman, for those of you that maybe don't understand the reference, he is in my Discord chat. And I said I had missed the first few innings of this game as I went out to go eat. And every time I've seemingly been out to eat or doing something where I couldn't be watching the Mets, they seem to go up big. So I guess it's me. I'm the problem. I can't watch the Mets anymore. I will gladly stop watching the Mets if it means that they will win games. But yeah, you're right on the money about that one, Sandman. Stefan, very happy, guys, all the way from Amsterdam. Stefan's still awake. Happy that you're up for this one, man. A good win today after that really ugly game 1 loss. Stefan, going back to sleep, watching the stream later. All right, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Sweet dreams. Let's see. We need these 3. We need 3 of these in a row. Yes, that is called a winning streak. Could you imagine if the Mets could pull that off? They almost did a couple weeks ago or whatever it was after they won 2 in a row versus Atlanta, but then they got swept by the lowly Pittsburgh Pirates. So hopefully now the Mets can rip a few in a row off. But let's start with baby steps. How about that? How about first they go out tomorrow and they win the series from the Brewers here? You got David Peterson on the mound. We're taking on Jose Quintana. Let's go win the series tomorrow. Then we can start worrying about winning streaks and the Yankees coming in for the Subway Series. But just glad to see them able to get a win here and avoid getting swept. Because look, we've been talking about it. Rock bottom, man. It just keeps seemingly getting lower and lower for this team. I did not think they were winning today, especially, well, game 2 with Mizorowski on the mound. But the Mets just take advantage of some shoddy defense from the Brewers in that second inning. All of that really happening with 2 outs to set the bases loaded up for Brandon Nimmo, and he does not disappoint. I mean, I thought it was against the rules for you to get a base hit with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Just based on watching the Mets in 2025, I was made aware that that is not allowed in baseball, but I guess it is because finally the Mets pulled through. Nimmo with the big shot to right field, and then, like I said, very next batter in his newly anointed 2-hole spot in the lineup, Francisco Lindor coming through. Huge day for Lindor, so really happy about that. Let's actually take a look at the box scores over here. So you can see right here, Nimmo goes 2 for 5. He also scorched a line drive to right field for a base hit in this one. Lindor ends up with 3 hits in this game. The home run, 2 more RBI singles, so 3 RBIs for him. The average, the OPS, they have suffered over this little 3-week month stretch for Francisco Lindor. The average down to 261, the OPS down to 787. I think by the end of the year, the numbers, they get back up to where they should be. The 280 area in his batting average, the 820, 840 area for his OPS. It's been a really rough stretch for him. Hopefully, this is the beginning of the turnaround for him. Soto with a base knock in this one. Tough night for Pete, though, 0 for 5. You know what? Pete carried us those first 2 months. He can take as much time as he needs. Hopefully, it's not going to be much longer, though. That OPS was around 1,100 there through almost the beginning of June. It's now down to 906. He has definitely been wearing it. But overall, just much better at-bats from this team in Game 2. They end up with 9 hits. They had just 2 hits in Game 1. I mean, look, this is what they needed. This is exactly what the doctor ordered for this Mets team. They could not have afforded to get swept in this series, in this doubleheader, and then basically had to watch as the Phillies gained another game on them, as the Brewers continued to move ahead of them in the wild card standings. So I'm just really happy they were able to pull through on this one. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to find where I am with the live stream here. I think we may have gotten cut out. Hopefully that is not the case. Okay, yeah, I think we're still here, right? Studio, are we live? I think we're live. Hold on, let me double check the chat, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Yeah, we are here. Okay, there we go. Let me get back to the chat. Brett Keller says, serious question, how many pitches did Tidwell throw today? Didn't he throw like 50 in Game 1 and 80 something tonight? So Tidwell did not pitch in Game 1. That was Brandon Waddell. So I can find it for you guys right here, actually. Let me pull it up. Tidwell ended up pitching. He threw somewhere in here. They make it very difficult to find this kind of stuff on MLB.com. Tidwell ended up throwing 80 pitches in this game over that 4 1/3 innings pitch. So 51 strikes, pretty solid ratio there of strikes to balls, 51 strikes to 29 balls. So happy about that. And that is what I said in the beginning of the stream regarding Tidwell. He pitched a lot better today because he had his command, because he was able to locate that fastball. That is what he was mostly attacking the Brewers with, and it was working out. And then was allowing some of his off-speed and breaking ball pitches to complement the fastball. But if you can't establish a good fastball in the major leagues, you are going to have a hard time getting MLB pitchers out, or MLB hitters out, period. So really happy to see that from Tidwell. Again, just his fourth MLB appearance. I think his fourth now. And this one goes much better than I think the first 2 or 3 have so far. So really happy about that, because at this point, the Mets just need some quality arms. This guy is a relatively highly respected prospect in their farm system. He's not exactly Brandon Sproat. He's not exactly Jonah Tong or Nolan McLean, but this is a guy that this team, this organization, had high hopes for. So very encouraging signs to see from Blade Tidwell today. And yes, a much needed win and a much needed grand slam from Nimmo. Jimmy James C popping off in the chat. What is up, man? Red Bear Fox always in the chat as well. Jackson Chorizo. I love it, Tony. Yeah. Could you tell? I think I'm a little hungry. Jackson Chorizo instead of Chorio. That dude is a stud, though. Killed us in the playoffs last year in that wild card round, and I could see he's still doing it this year. Earl D, great to see Lindor come back to life. I wonder if they'll stay with the lineup change. So, guys, sound off in the chat. How would you go about it? Would you keep this lineup the same way and have Lindor continue to hit in the 2 spot? Me personally, like I said, I am superstitious, so I would absolutely keep it the same way that it is. I am not changing anything. The Mets get a W. Lindor with a 3-hit night, 3 separate RBI knocks, including a solo home run. Brandon Nimmo with a grand slam in the leadoff spot. I ain't touching this lineup now. This is it. We are rolling with this until the wheels fall off, until they go back to losing, if that's the case, and then we have to have a whole nother conversation, the same one we've been having for the last month. So I personally would keep it, but we know Steve Gelbs already has reported that he asked Mendoza, and this is supposedly just a one-off, a one-time thing, and that they are not planning to continue using the same lineup that they used here tonight. Again, me personally, I don't see how you go back to what you were doing that has not been working for such a long time. So I would keep it, but that's just me. Raul Almanzar, LGM World Champs 2025. Raul has been steady about that. He has always said LGM World Series Champs 2025, no matter how bad the Mets have been doing. I appreciate the confidence in Raul. Let's see. Irv Wallace, I hope this is the start of the offense breaking out. Let's go, Mets. Me too. Again, I think they should keep this lineup. I mean, again, maybe more than anything, it's just superstition kind of thing, but at the very least, it could mean more base runners on for Juan Soto. Maybe it unlocks Francisco Lindor not having the pressure of leading off, though he's been thriving there since this time last year. So not sure why it just flipped off for him in this last month, but I would keep it exactly the way it is. CP's True Mets Talk, much needed win, 100%. Thank goodness I would not have gotten a wink of sleep tonight if the Mets did end up getting swept in this doubleheader today. The Phillies do end up also splitting with the Padres. They win the nightcap with San Diego. So both of us going 1-1 on this day. Same with the Brewers, of course, having us split with them, which means we jump back a half game ahead of them for the top wild card spot in the National League. So look, guys, small victories. That's all we can really be looking for right now. You don't just get it all back in one day with how the Mets have been going, but we do need these small victories, like avoiding getting swept in the doubleheader, avoiding losing more ground in the standings. And now tomorrow, hopefully, we're talking about them going out and taking a series win for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. They have not had a series win since they swept the Nationals after returning home from Colorado when they had also swept the Rockies. So let's get that W tomorrow. Let's try to get back on track now. I hope that is the case. Absol says Mets need pitching. Go after Keller and Merrill ASAP. Yeah, love both those names. We talked about both of them in our live stream yesterday for the rainout day. I said I would love to see the Mets pursue either one of those guys. I think Merrill Kelly is a solid one, but Mitch Keller would be even better. Keller's going to be a little more expensive, 3 more years of control, and he is a better pitcher than Kelly overall, I would say. So I'm interested in both of them, but there's a lot of needs that the team needs to address at the deadline. So could factor in to how or the type of caliber pitcher that they pursue for this rotation. D-Rails, yes, sir. As Lindor goes, the Mets go. D-Rails has been steady on that all season long, and it is 100% true. When Lindor's hitting, the Mets seem to hit. When Lindor's not hitting, the Mets look like a dumpster fire. So super happy about that. Hopefully that's the case. Again, it doesn't sound like the Mets are planning to keep this lineup with Lindor in the 2 spot, but I don't see how you change it after a game like tonight. Red Bear Fox, happy the team won, but the bottom of the lineup again went like 1 for 13. Yeah, the bottom of the lineup has been a problem all year long. So bottom of the lineup tonight consisted of Beatty, Mauricio, Sanger. So what are you really expecting out of that? Same with Tyrone Taylor. He ends up 0 for 4. It has been a real bad time for Tyrone Taylor. Actually has the lowest OPS on this lineup or on this roster essentially right now. Take a look here of all the starters. So Taylor with a 596 OPS right now, the lowest out of anybody, not including Hayden Sanger. It's really not even fair to include Hayden Sanger in that. But Beatty ends up with a 0 for 3 today. Taylor 0 for 4. Mauricio 0 for 2, though Mauricio's been swinging the bat a lot better and really hitting some hardline drives all over the field. So I am happy to see that from Ronnie. But overall, not the prettiest performance from the bottom of the lineup, and that's been the case pretty much all season long. They need to get Jesse Winker back. Luckily, he continues his rehab assignment with AA Binghamton, so hopefully he's on his way back soon. Francisco Alvarez, update on what he has been doing at AAA. 3 straight days with a home run for Francisco Alvarez. So I am very happy to hear about that, but I am only cautiously optimistic because until I see him do it here at the big league level, I will not believe that it's going to happen. But I am, of course, very pleased to hear that from Alvy. So 3 straight days with a homer for Francisco Alvarez down in Syracuse, up in Syracuse. So that is a very good sign. So again, when you want to get the bottom of the lineup turned and going again, you got to get Mark Vientos hitting like he was in 2024. You got to get Francisco Alvarez back up here and at least somewhere in between what he did last year and what he did in 2023. You've got to get Jesse Winker back, and I still believe you need to go out and get a legitimate bat at this year's trade deadline. Until then, I'm fearful this bottom of the lineup is exactly what they have shown us to this point that they are, which is not very good. In fact, I'd say horrible. So let's see. Red Bear Fox, Nimmo and Lindor literally won this game between the two of them. The bottom of the order is still an issue. Yep, just like we were talking about. Brett Keller, Jankowski was flying around the bases on that Lindor double. Loved to see it. Was great for us in 2022. Yeah, I mean, happy that they have a guy with speed like that, and they obviously brought him up to the roster and sent Luis Angel Acuna down to AAA. In the perfect world, it would be Luis Angel Acuna still doing this, but unfortunately, he was not getting the reps he needed at the big league level. He wasn't performing here in Queens, so he's back down in AAA, and hopefully he is starting to do some better stuff with them like Francisco Alvarez is right now, and can eventually return and take Jankowski's spot again. Not that I don't like Travis Jankowski, but obviously we're hoping Luis Angel Acuna can still be a part of this team's future. So hopefully that is exactly how it goes, but until proven otherwise, we are rolling with Travis Jankowski. Timothy Frith, what's up at last? Yep, they finally got a win. Can you believe it? I can't. I saw the scoreboard 5-0 Mets, and I had to shake my eyes out because I couldn't believe that it wasn't Brewers 5, Mets 0. Because it seems every time you check the score or are watching a Mets game for the last 3 weeks, it's been the other team with a lopsided lead over the Mets. So that was a nice little surprise today, but happy that they were able to pull it off. But yeah, Lindor and Nimmo essentially single-handedly win this game, and it even starts to get a little dicey there in the 6th inning. The back-to-back solo homers off of Tidwell from Yelich and Churio. I can't not say chorizo. And that makes it 6-2. Then another 2 runners aboard. Daniel Nunez comes in. He gives up a run. and it's a 5-3 game. Then in the 8th inning, you got two men aboard again, and you have to call on to Edwin Diaz for the 4-out save. He starts with a 2-0 count on whoever it was that pinch hit. Was it Bowers? Yeah. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is really going to happen, isn't it? The Mets are really going to blow the game, aren't they? But fortunately, able to put the fires out and get the dub. As you could tell, I am very exhausted from doing 2 post-game streams and covering this team, which has just been nightmarish of late. But I am so glad that they were able to pull this one out tonight. Absol Soto, 1 hit all day. Is he going to fizzle out again? I mean, I said it before the swing where he lost his bat behind his back. The dude is over swinging like crazy, and I don't know why, because he was just red hot in June, and he didn't look like he was taking as aggressive hacks as he has been for these last 2 games or so, or even in the Pittsburgh series. So I don't know what's going on with Soto these last few games. I'm not alarmed, but he definitely looks like he is just trying to absolutely knock the ball out of the stadium with the way he has been swinging the bat over these past 2 or 3 games. So not sure why Soto is kind of looking like that right now, but not concerned about him given how he just performed in June. Irv Wallace says, yeah, Winker is my guy. Can't wait to get him back. They need Jesse Winker back. Like I said, he continues his rehab assignment in AA. In fact, while you guys are here, how about this? Let's take a look and see what AA Binghamton did for the Mets, because Sean Manaea was supposed to make his rehab assignment start with them yesterday. It ended up getting rained out, but he did make that today. So what did he do? Let's find out. Sean Manaea delivers promising start in Mets minor league. Ready for his comeback? Question mark. This looks like a real janky website, but let's just see where this goes. The return of Sean Manaea to the mound is news. The New York Mets. Okay, come on. What did he do today? Okay, no, this is a nothing. This is a nothing burger, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. He did pitch today, though. Okay, finally, here we go. Sean Manaea, oh my God, and now we got an ad we got to deal with. This is just unbelievable. I can't even do it. Paywall. Oh my gosh, this got to be a lot easier. All right, well, we know he made a rehab start tonight, and he is still going to make another one before returning to the Mets, according to Newsday in an article they just posted 2 hours ago. So that's a good sign. Let's see. Mets Sean Manaea to make rehab start in Game 1 of Wednesday doubleheader for AA Binghamton. Jesse Winker to begin rehab assignment playing in Game 2. So there's your little update. Manaea was supposed to have pitched in the first game of this series. For whatever reason, I'm not seeing any stats on it. That should already easily be out there and reported, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. Okay, this might give us the answer finally. So they split the doubleheader today. Sean Manaea would get the start as part of a rehab assignment. He goes 3 innings. He gives up 3 runs on 6 hits and had 3 strikeouts. So not great numbers from Sean Manaea in the rehab assignment today. Again, he ends up going 3 innings. He allows 3 runs on 6 hits. So that is not great. Let's see. In Game 2, Jesse Winker, first appearance. Jesse Winker made an impact in his first game with AA Binghamton. Despite going 1 for 4 at the plate, the New York left fielder would hit a 3-run homer to pad the Binghamton lead in the top of the 7th. Okay, don't you think he just kind of buried the lead? They just said didn't have much of an impact in his first game. Okay, so that his first game, this must have been his second game. So Winker ends up with a 3-run homer in his start tonight for AA Binghamton. So that is a good sign. The Sean Manaea one, not so much, but it does sound like Manaea has one more rehab assignment start before he is going to return to the big league roster. Let's see. Earl says, yeah, he gave up, I believe, 3 runs and a few walks. Thank you. I should have just looked at the chat way earlier instead of trying to figure all that out myself. Why didn't you speak up earlier, Earl? Come on, man. No, that's my bad. Yeah, so, I mean, look, hopefully this is the case of the Mets starting to get healthier. They're going to get Winker back. Sean Manaea back. Kodai Senga was supposed to throw a bullpen today and do pitcher fielding practice. I didn't hear any reports on that. Let me actually just double check, see if there is anything on that news today. Nothing that I see from today. Just that he was supposed to do his bullpen today and do pitcher fielding practice. And Mendoza said yesterday that if that all went well, that he would begin a rehab assignment. So I'm going to just do a quick search on Twitter of Kodai saying, see if there is any news. But here is some video, as you can see, of him throwing at Citi Field. We know throwing was not the issue for him. It was the hamstring that he injured on the throw from Pete Alonso while covering first base. But good sign there that he's even out there on the field throwing. Not sure what happened with the bullpen. He faced hitters on Sunday and was supposed to do that bullpen today in PFPs, but no word on any of that from the Mets or anybody else here on Twitter. So we will keep checking in on that. But overall, guys, thank goodness. That's all I got to say. Thank goodness. I started this stream by saying that, and I think I'm going to end it here soon by saying that, because the Mets do get off the schneid. 7-3 win against the Brewers. They split the doubleheader. They move back a half game ahead of Milwaukee for that top wild card spot. They don't lose any ground on the Phillies, who split their doubleheader with San Diego. So that is obviously very good as well. Pittsburgh, man, I think we just didn't give them enough credit. They end up winning their 6th in a row, back-to-back sweeps, as they defeat the Cardinals 5-0, which is actually kind of good because the Cardinals aren't all too far behind us at this point in those wild card standings. So we definitely want St. Louis to fade as well. But guys, let's take a look at tomorrow's pitching matchup and do a quick little preview of that before we wrap things up here. So it is a night game for the finale. The Mets looking to get the rubber game, looking to get their first series victory, and it feels like 87 years, but realistically since that sweep of the Nationals 3 weeks ago at Citi Field. And it will be Mets southpaw going up against former Met southpaw Jose Quintana. So first, we'll take a look at David Peterson, who obviously coming off 2 pretty rough starts his last 2 times out and looking to get back on track here. Overall for the season, though, the numbers are solid. 5-4 record. Who cares about records? It doesn't matter. But a 3.30 ERA in 16 starts, over 95 1/3 innings. But like I said, those last 2 starts that he made have been pretty rough. The first one in Philadelphia, and then the next one in the opener against Pittsburgh, in which he lasted just 4 2/3 innings and surrendered 5 earned runs on 7 hits and 3 walks. Now, the big thing with Peterson, remember, we've always known this about him, goes back to his early career struggles, are the walks. And the last 3 starts, he's issued 3 walks in each of them, and none of them have been particularly great. The one in Atlanta was actually really solid until it blew up on him in the 8th inning. He ended up getting relieved of that one, and that's when Reed Garrett blew that game up. So all 3 of those runs end up getting charged to him. Does that sound familiar? Sound like something that happened earlier this afternoon with Reed Garrett? Yeah, I think so. Feels like we just rewatched that same game from Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. But overall, if Peterson controls the strike zone, it usually leads to good things. That is how he has turned this career around of his. So hopefully that is what he'll be able to do tomorrow. That is what I am watching for, commanding the strike zone, not issuing those free passes, and hopefully he can get back on track here. And then meanwhile, Jose Quintana, who was out there for the taking late in this offseason. I mean, I was hoping the Mets would pick him up. I mean, obviously a really solid year for them last year, a really good September and October for this team, but he ended up signing on a very affordable deal with the Brewers right before spring training, and he has been great for them this year. 6-2 record, 3.30 ERA over 11 starts. So we will see. Will the former Met come back to haunt them? You already know the answer to that one, unfortunately. So hopefully not the case, and he takes it easy on his former team. But yeah, Quintana has been good. He's a crafty lefty. We know he doesn't have the nastiest stuff, but he has good command. He's able to locate his pitches, and it usually works out pretty well for him. So we shall see how that goes. But damn, I want a series win tomorrow. I want them to get this thing going back on course, and hopefully that'll be the case, especially for a weekend of the Subway Series against the Yankees, a matchup of the 2 struggling, slumping New York teams on 4th of July weekend. So hopefully, like I said, little victories, small baby steps. First, you got to crawl before you can run, before you can do any of that other stuff. getting that series victory tomorrow, in my opinion, would be a huge step in the right direction. Let's see. Earl says he's right in line to pitch a shutout his first time in the rotation. Oh, you're talking about Vershawn Manaea, right? There you go. All right, guys, look, this is going to be a short one. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Again, we will have another post-game recap immediately after the series finale tomorrow night. Hopefully a Mets series win. We will see you guys all then. Until then, though, I'm Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.